Faith Fulfilled, Book 1, Chapter 13, The First Mission. The howling of Mother Nature's fury lasted throughout the night. Icicles and heavy snow sat on the roof of the cabin. Destiny offered to let Mike stay the night, to avoid traveling the storm, but Mike politely refused, not wanting to burden her. He made his way through the terrible storm for hours before he finally made it back. Entering the cabin, he couldn't feel a large portion of his body. Making his way to the bedroom, he crashed onto the bed, and immediately let the darkness take him. It seemed like he had just gotten into bed when he heard a voice say,
"Get up!"
Mike sprung out of bed. Looking in front of him, he sees Ray with his face swelling red.
"You've slept long enough. Both of you have. Now get ready and meet me at the training grounds."
Before a response could be made, Ray slammed the door behind him and exited the cabin.
Such a pleasant fellow,
Groaned Clyde as he rolled out of bed.
You have no idea.
Well, let's not anger him anymore by being late. Let's get moving.
They would do whatever morning routines they could with the resources they had available, and then Mike led Clyde to the trading grounds. There was still some snow falling from the sky, but not nearly as hard as it was overnight. Mike's legs ached with every step, lips blue, eyes watering, body shaking. Destiny was sitting on her log again when they made their way there, but Ray was nowhere to be seen.
So this is the training grounds? It's just an open field.
You don't need anything but a lot of space for the kind of training you'll be going through.
Destiny said, getting up off the log.
Well, that's comforting.
Where's Ray?
No idea. He wasn't here when I got here either.
Clyde felt a jolt hit the back of his head. He spun around to find out what had hit him. He found a wooden stick at his feet in the snow. Looking up, he saw Ray with his hand stretched out. In the other, he held 3 more sticks.
Keep your guard up.
That was totally uncalled for.
Exactly. You should be prepared for the unexpected.
Well, that's kind of an oxymoron.
Ray flexed his hand out and moved all 3 sticks to the remaining 2 trainees. All picking up their sticks, they awaited further instruction.
The legacy holders and their minions do not play fair. They will try to attack you when you least expect it. As such, you need to be ready for things that you can't anticipate.
I guess that makes sense.
You guess?
Ray, can we just get on with the lesson?
Fine. Let's get on with it. Clyde, I want you to try and hit Mike with your training sword.
It's just a stick. It's not even a...
Do it!
Okay, fine. Sheesh.
Hours and hours of training. Fighting with sticks, running around the training course, and fighting with your hands. Mike, of course, had the worst of it, because after he did all that, he had to train with the legacy. Once Clyde's and Destiny's training was complete, Clyde ran back to the cabin to crash, but Destiny stayed behind.
Just lift the tree already. It's not that complicated.
It is complicated, though!
Just as he said this, he witnesses the tree lift in the air. Ray's hand flexed out toward the tree.
Did that look complicated to you? Now do it!
Mike grunts and continues to fulfill his teacher's wishes, but no matter how hard he did try, the tree never moved.
Michael, if you can't move a tree, then how do you expect to stop the legacy holders? No. No more. I've only had 2 training sessions with you, and I can already tell I am just wasting my time. I could be using this time to track them down, but instead I'm sitting here, dealing with your failure! Now, try again!
The clouds circled around the dark castle. The barrier between the overworld and the nether had been breached, for a transmission between the 2 worlds was to be heard.
Has Ray recruited the boy?
The figure in black smoke asked.
As you predicted.
Brian answered, bowing his head.
Excellent.
What are your new orders, Father?
With Michael and his friend gone, the village is unprotected. Deal with the villagers as you've dealt with the sun. Show no mercy.
It will be done.
The smoke dissipates. Brian gets up from the ground and redirects the orders to his minions. With a nod of their heads, the undead corpses and bags of bones make their way out of the castle and toward their unsuspecting targets. Torture. That is the only word that could accurately describe the next several hours for Mike. His hands had been raising and lowering, his ears had been picking up insulting shouts, and his mind was cracking from the inside, Ray's voice getting raspier with each yell. Throughout it all, Destiny watched in disgust at Ray's treatment of Mike. When the session had finally ended, the young legacy holder was exhausted. Unbeknownst to anyone at the training grounds, in the distance, Amy was watching in equal disgust. When Ray finally exited the premises, Amy revealed herself to Mike and Destiny, who were still present.
Amy? When did you get here?
I've been here all along, unfortunately.
I'm sorry you had to witness my failures.
You didn't fail, Mike. Ray is just a stubborn man.
Understatement of the century.
If anyone is failing, it's Ray. He's failing to properly teach you how to use your abilities.
Wait, how do you know I'm a legacy holder? And how do you know Ray? And how does Destiny know you? I have so many questions!
Chillax. Amy here is Ray's wife. That answer all the questions rattling in your head?
Oh. Yep, pretty much.
Goodness. Perhaps I should have introduced myself from the start.
Maybe.
Destiny rolled her eyes. Amy was trying her very best to suppress the overwhelming emotion she was feeling from finally getting to meet her son. She wished she could see him now in a better state than the one he was in.
You guys should get back to your cabins. It's past midnight.
Amy said, looking up into the sky to see the moon all the way up. And so, they each bid each other goodbye and head off in their separate shelters. Through his entire walk back, Mike couldn't stop thinking about how he couldn't use his power. If he would ever be able to protect those he cared for from the legacy holders. Sleep did not come easily to Mike that night. He did not stop thinking about the same thing from when he got into bed until he was awoken by Ray once again in the morning. Mike expected another grueling training session, but this time, Ray had something different in store.
Look who decided to show up early.
Destiny said as Mike entered the training grounds.
Not by my own choice. Ray woke me up this early.
Figured.
That's enough chit-chat,
Ray said, walking in front of them.
It's clear that Mike is too incompetent to use his powers correctly.
Mike clenched his fists.
So instead, you two will be sent on missions.
What about Clyde?
He will remain here and train under me. Maybe he will properly listen to my instructions.
So, basically, while Clyde is training, we're gonna be running your errands?
Pretty much.
This is absurd! I did not leave my home to come here and waste time doing your laundry.
Quiet down, boy. These missions I have will help you and Destiny learn to use your natural abilities. If we're lucky, then perhaps you will tap into your own powers as well.
I'm listening.
Well, that's a first for you. Speaking of first, your first mission is to find a village. Villages are not found in the biome we currently stand in, so you will need to travel outside it. Remember, villages are rare, so you will need to look very hard. Also remember that villages are found in deserts and flatlands.
What do we do when we find a village?
If you find a village. And if that scenario comes into play, I want you to observe the villagers' behaviors.
Observe. You want us to observe. What do you hope to gain by knowing how villagers act?
That is classified. Now, this is going to take time. I want you to bring crafting tables, furnaces, coal to fuel them, beds, extra clothing to wear, swords, pickaxes, torches in case you need to mine, an axe, and a supply of wooden planks for crafting. Am I clear?
Crystal.
Mike said angrily. With that, Ray left for his house. Mike and Destiny turned to look at each other.
Think you can put up with me?
I think I'll manage. You're not that bad.
So, I'll meet you at your place. That sound alright?
Sounds good to me. I'll see you then.
Luckily, Clyde was not in the cabin when Mike arrived. This saved Mike the effort he'd need to explain to Clyde what was going on. Mike grabbed everything that Ray instructed him to and left the cabin. Making his way through the snowy forest to Destiny's house, he felt like he was being watched. He knew that Ray was watching somewhere, making sure that he did as he was told. Reaching Destiny's house, he found her waiting outside the door for him.
You ready?
She asked, walking up to him.
Ready as I'll ever be, I guess.
And the two headed northward for their first of many adventures together. This would be the beginning of a long, strong bond.